But it was fun.
I bet you it was quite a ride.
Yeah.
Quite a ride. When you think about, though, where music is today, and as you release music now, and you come from that era, the record industry, the music industry, I can't even call it the record industry anymore, has radically changed. Radio has changed, video has changed, the internet, of course, has changed everything. For someone from your era to be releasing an album, we'll call it an album, in this generation at this time, that has to be something new, exciting, and challenging because the industry is so radically different.
It is. I wanted to do this because the reason I decided to do a new album or a new CD is because a lot of entertainers out here calling themselves R&B artists. We're not R&B artists. That's not R&B. When you sing a rhythm and blues record, you understand everything on the record. These records now, you don't know what you're saying. So I wanted to get back into it. Like you said, the industry has changed so much that when you get out here on your own, it's like now, I have to do it all myself. I have to do the video. I have to do the video. But I have a better chance now because of the internet. It's all over the world now, so you don't have to just rely on radio. You got internet and you got internet radio, and things have changed greatly. And I wanted to come back and do real R&B, so if my new album sounds like a friend of mine in California said, well, the song sounds kind of dated, like from the 70s. I said, good. That's what I was trying to do.
We hit it right on.
Yeah, so that's it.
9:32 on the Triple H Morning Show. You also have your producer in studio today.
Yeah,
Would you please introduce your producer?
Yeah, this is Kevin Dixon. We call him the Maker.
Yeah.
And
hello.
Mr. Dixon, welcome to the broadcast.
Welcome.
Now let's talk about your work with Nate Evans. How did you guys come to meet?
Well, I was doing audio at in Pigeon Forge. I was an audio guy at place in Pigeon Forge, and met Nate there through a guy that was doing the Elvis impersonation, Cody Slaughter. And that's how I met Nate, and played some music for him, and he liked it. And that's how we started. It just happened. Actually, it just happened.
Yeah, it has changed so much now. Actually, in the studio, there was only Kevin and myself. So everything that you hear, Kevin did it by himself. There were no guitar players. He played the guitar. He played the sax. He played the drums. Whatever there was, any instrument he played. All the singing, all the background, the lead, I did. Only the two of us in the studio. So that's what we call it.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's we're talking about the new thing with that. I was able to do it, and that's out of convenience. I couldn't afford the equipment. When I first started out, I started with 2 tape recorders. I would go over a friend's house, play the piano, record it on the tape recorder, take it back home, play that back, play the bass, record that on another sound on sound. That's how I started. Yeah. But that really helped me become creative, be able to do that, you know what I'm saying, to be able to play the music like I do, you know.
You know what's interesting? Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, said constraint actually creates more creativity. Yes. So if you have limited tools, you have to be more creative. And sometimes constraint is a good thing because it forces you to think thoughts, come up with ideas, ways of doing things that you never would have had you had access to.
Yes. Thus the maker also, like I tell them, I make it happen. You know, and by doing that, by having to make things happen, make things work using what you got, it works. Yeah.
All right, at 9:36 on the Triple H Morning Show, Nate Evans in studio with us. The Maker is in studio with us as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
You're listening to the Halerin Hill Show from our Copper Cellar Studios on News Talk 98.7.
7 WOKI. Nate Evans has a new CD. It's called For the Grown and Sexy. The first single is called Talking About Baby, and he is in studio today. And we're talking about the music of our times. As both of you look at where we are now, are there any artists you see today that you think will be around 30 years from now?
30 years.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But, like, you know, the people from, and I don't mean this in any kind of...
Me?
From your era, the distinction that you have is this. Many of the artists from that era still are relevant today. They still are selling out shows today. They're great performers, they're great songwriters, they're great producers, and they still have relevance even in today's marketplace, especially in terms of live performance.
That's a long time.
But what about the generation now? Are there any of today's stars that you look at and go, they've got that thing that will have some longevity to it?
Charlie Wilson.
Yeah, he's doing it.
Charlie Wilson. I love Charlie Wilson. I love Charlie Wilson. For me to do Talking About Baby, what I had to do to get into the feel of the time that I came from was go back and get a writer, producer who knew that feel. So Talking About Baby was written by Johnny Bristol, a Motown writer, who had written some songs for Tammy and Marvin and a lot of other hits. And I had to go all the way back and get a record that he wrote 30-some years ago and bring it back, because today's music is just about a beat. Everything is commercial. When we were coming along, you know, Sam and Dave, Wilson Pickett, James Brown, Marvin Gaye, it wasn't about commerciality. It was just about how you felt, how good you was. Everybody had their own thing. If you heard Wilson Pickett, you knew it was him. If it was Jerry Butler, you knew it was him. Today, a lot of these cats is imitating each other. Everybody doing Michael Jackson. I won't call no names, but two cats, man, they famous as they can be, and they just doing Michael Jackson. If Michael hadn't come along, I guess they'd have been cab drivers today.
It is 9:42. Anybody you see?
Well, not really. I try to keep myself unique and inspired by the older guys. You know, the newer guys out here, I know what they're doing. I know where they're trying to go. I've been there. I know what the guys doing. So I can't really see anybody that I would really say would be 30 years from now. Because when the hip hop came out years ago, I knew the music was going to be here because they were doing the music that I played in the band.
Right.
You know, so I knew it was going to be here now, where it's at, what do you got? You don't have no reference. You know, I got Coltrane, I got Cannonball Allen, I got Louis Armstrong, I got all the wealth of Cool in the Game, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I got all of that in my head. You know, Chick Corea, Stanley Clarke, and all these musicians and big band era, the jazz era. I got all that in my mind. Now these young guys, what they got?
Right. They're sampling, but they don't know the source.
Right now they seeking that. They know something. They can only get the feeling by going back.
Right. It is 9:43. As you perform now, and as you've been out singing, Talking About Baby, I know you just were in the Midwest. How are audiences responding to you? And what about this for the Grown and Sexy?
Well, the title for the Grown and Sexy, I don't want anybody to get the idea it's an X-rated album or anything. You know, I'm not trying to go into Barry White.
Right.
For the Grown and Sexy, it means it's for people, mature people. You know, not anybody 25. You know, because guys don't. They're just different. You know now. You know. So this is for mature people who want to hear about love, who want to remember when a man would actually walk up and say something nice, and you know that type of thing. So it's for the grown and sexy and the people to understand. It's for people who listen to the Quiet Storm at night.
I remember the Quiet Storm. I remember the Quiet Storm. The phone number is 656-8255, 1-800-951-8255, pound 98.7 is a free call for customers of U.S. Cellular. And, of course, you can hit me on Twitter at Halerin. Nate Evanson's in studio. Let's talk a little bit about television before you get away this morning. You have been actively working toward a television show. You mentioned that at the beginning of our interview. Let's talk about that.
Well, I'm going out to California. We're pitching an idea, you know, to some people out at Fox, and hopefully they take it. And right now it's called Rhythm Nation. because I wanted to call it something else. Can I say what I wanted to call it?
Absolutely. You can say what you want.
I wanted to call it Stop the Noise, Bring Back the Music, and bring singers on. You know what I mean? Singers. And, but they liked my idea, but they didn't like the name. Yeah. So, like me, for instance, the first show, you're talking 4 acts on there, live. You're talking the Manhattans, the Stylistics, the Young Rascals, and Al Green. I mean, man, that's a show. Now we can stay at home and see something like this and enjoy something like this. Next week, we do it again with, whoever, but we're going to go back and get those, because these cats are not dead. They still living, trying to make a living.
Have you also thought about bundling them and packaging these artists that you will be bringing in as a national tour?
I'm pretty sure, I'm so busy trying to get my own stuff on the national tour. I'm sure they'll get into that part, But I'm just trying to give a platform, a platform for these guys that are still out here, like the Dramatics, Harold Melvin's Blue Notes, just music that we really enjoyed, and it's about the music, not about a beat, and somebody's saying something that you can't even understand what they're saying.
That really is challenging, especially if you had that first name, Stop the Noise, Bring Back the Music, because that is an indictment immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Well, everybody want to be commercial, nobody wants to tell the truth. I remember Bobby Womack did a song called You're Not Commercial. He said they came into the studio as he played the guitar, and he sang, he said, we love the way you play the guitar. You're left-handed. You got so much soul. He said, but you're not commercial. He's just not commercial. He was too soulful, not commercial. Kind of like the OJs. OJs were always so soulful they could never really cross over as a crossover act. They were too good.
You know what's interesting about all of that music, though, at the time that it was, quote unquote, not commercial. You go back to any of that music, you can play it today. You can play any of that music today. You go to a wedding reception. You can go to a wedding reception in Spokane, Washington, or Peoria, Illinois, or in Maryville, Tennessee. And if you put on some Motown right now, you don't even have to say which one it is, play the music right now, and the place will start jumping immediately. So in its inception, it wasn't considered commercial, but all of that stuff, if you play it at any kind of venue, you can actually be at a hip-hop concert where they're playing music in between acts. They throw on some Motown, place goes nuts.
Yeah.
So it's commercial now.
Yeah, it's commercial now.
It's plenty. It's plenty.
Maybe it defined commercial is what the music should have been, because it's definitely commercial now. It's everywhere, all over the world.
Even if people don't know the names, they know the word Motown.
Right.
They may not remember Junior Walker. They remember the song. They may not remember his name, but they'll remember his song, or Martha and the Vandellas, or the Marvelettes, or Contours, Temptation, whoever, they'll remember.
Now, let me ask you this. You said you played with the Winans for years. What a legendary gospel group. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I went to school with Marvin and Carvin, Hampton Junior High in Detroit and Mumford High School. I went to school with them. Marvin met me at a junior high. He was playing piano, and he asked me to play trumpet. I've been playing trumpet since I was 8 years old. Actually played trumpet with Nate's group, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you do have a little bit of that Louis Armstrong rasp.
Yeah. That's how I started. I saw him on the Ed Sullivan Show, Louis Armstrong, and that inspired me, and I have been his fan since. That is
he is the foundation.
Remarkable guy. He's
I don't think people understand how much he influenced singing.
Yes.
He influenced all of the singers. They were trying to sing the way he played the trumpet.
Yeah, he changed music at the age of 16. They called it a Louis Armstrong composition, because the way he, at 16 years old, he changed the way, because he sung like an instrument.
Right.
And that was the thing. But the Marvin and them, I played with them all the way through high school. He asked me to play trumpet with them. I was with them with their first label, the Testimonial Singers was what they did. They used to be down my basement. Marvin was down my basement and wrote a couple of hit songs when he was down there playing the piano. His Silly Self, Baby CC, all of them guys. was in the living room when they got the letter from Andre Crouch, when they got discovered. I was sitting right there.
Light Records.
Yep, Light Records, and that's when he discovered them. And
Bill Maxwell.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And they went on from there. Quincy bought them a studio open in Detroit there, and then they got with Quest Records, but I wasn't with them then. But I know Marvin, all them guys.
That's a great history.
Yes.
Quincy, not Quincy, Louis Armstrong showed us something about singing, because I don't know as much about music as I do about singing and feel. And people will walk up to you and say, well, you talk about soul music. What is soul music? Soul music is a feel. That's all it's a feel. And black people are not the only ones that have soul music, that kind of feel, because it came from us through that church to that Southern Baptist cotton picking, back there when we sang. And some like the show we're talking about doing now, and putting the Young Rascals on it. The Young Rascals sang so good. As far as the black population, they had 2 hits before we even knew they were black. It's a Beautiful Morning and Grooving on a Sunday Afternoon. We had no idea that they were white. Louis Armstrong, he sings this song, What a Wonderful World. Yeah. Louis Armstrong didn't have a beautiful voice, but listen to that feel. If anybody sings it in another voice, then you're wrong. You understand? Right. It's about a feel. Mm-hmm. It's not about the...
So let me ask you this about feel. Is feel something you can learn, or is feel something that actually is the expression of something you know?
I think it's the expression. I don't think you can learn. You can teach a person how to sing a song, but you can't teach them. You can teach your little daughter to come in here and sing a song for you, but you can't teach her to feel it. She just know the words because she's not a singer. But now, if she has a feel, then she's going to go into her feel, and you're going to think she's the most wonderful singer you ever heard because you can feel what she's doing. Like Eddie Levert, you feel him.
Right. Now, so when you sing, how do you get to the place of feeling? I mean, does it physically manifest in your body? In other words, do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your hands? Do you feel it? I mean, I've talked to some musicians. They say they get a burning sensation, or they get some type of physical sensation when they move from singing to feeling.
I feel it all the time. Whenever I sing, I can't sing without feeling. That's why I'm so loud. Because I can't do it. If I'm singing, I'm feeling it. I'm sure. I don't, because I've been doing this all my life. The first song I ever sang, and I thought I could sing, was 1957. There was a song by Chuck Willis called C.C. Rider. And I was singing with the radio, and then I realized I sound pretty good, and I liked it. But it was, like I said, it's about that feel inside you. Some people sing pretty. Luther Vandross, just pretty. He just sang so pretty. Peebo Bryson, pretty, but he has a lot. They both have feel.
Right.
But there are some people who have feel and that quality in their voice. Like I was telling him, we were at a show one time, and Peebo Bryson had just walked off the stage. He walked off the stage. I was standing by the curtain. He walks up to me and said, how did I sound? How did I sound, Nate? I just looked at him. Are you serious? People, how did you sound? So it lets you know he doesn't take it for granted. He just sounds great. And some of us, just sing with feel.
Yeah, you got to feel it. All right, 9:54. The new release is called Talking About Baby. Nate Evans for the Grown and Sexy. How can people acquire said music?
That's going to be available on CD Baby very soon. And say by next week, you should be able to download it on CD Baby. And we're going to be giving away a song free. We're going to be giving away that Come On and Go With Me as our gift.
All right. Well, much success to you as you go forward, and as you help us hold on to the rich American tradition of R&B music. It is an American music form that grew out of all of the other American music forms, and you're hanging on to that. You're bringing it back. Good luck with the TV show as well.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I always love being with you.
Absolutely. Man, looks good, too. Chris, did you see him come in?
Hey, man,
Here you go. Straight flavor.
Yeah, straight flavor with the swag. Dave, did you see him when he came? And Dave Folk, I'm telling you something about Dave Folk. Dave Folk does not come out of his room for many people.
For anybody.
For anybody. If he comes out and shakes your hand and says, hey, how are you doing? you got to be doing something. He just wants to play bass with your band. Isn't that right, David?
Listen. I couldn't carry this stuff. He was calling all those names. The Rascals, Felix Caviardi.
Oh, yes.
Who was with Joey D and the Peppermint Twist. He did that way back before. All these, I'm just like,
you're in
leaning
heaven.
back saying, yes, play that music.
That's going to do it for us today. I know you've got dreams. My question is, what are you going to do about them? We'll see you on the radio. Bye-bye.